Hi, my name is Jennifer Smith from the Office of Career Planning and Development here at UNA. Today I would like to talk to you a little bit about interview tips and how to ace an interview. If you go with me to career.una.edu and you scroll to the bottom of the page, you will see the career guide. If you click on this guide and go to page 29, you will see different types of interviews. I won't read all of these to you, good for you, right? But I do want to call your attention to some of the different styles of interviews. For example, telephone interviews are very popular. In a telephone interview, this is a way for an employer to screen the applicants before bringing them in for a face-to-face interview. In a telephone interview, you'll see some tips on how to take the call, how to make sure that you're in a good location and it's quiet, and to go ahead and dress professionally. There's psychology behind, some psychological research behind the fact that if you go ahead and dress the part, you feel more confident, you feel more professional, and you portray yourself in a more professional manner during the actual interview. You'll also see group interviews. This is also a popular style of interviewing, where you may be called in with several different people and you have to interview in front of one another, and that can be very stressful. So you can read the guide on tips to be more successful in that particular situation. One thing that's not mentioned in this particular edition of the career guide is the Skype interview. And so with the Skype interview, it's basically where you're doing the interview online. And one story I want to tell you is about someone who actually did a Skype interview, but he only dressed from the waist up. He had on a suit coat, a nice shirt, and a tie, and thought he was ready to go, until the employer asked him to get something off of his printer. He had left it on his printer, and the employer asked him to retrieve that piece of paper. So he stood up, and guess what the employer saw? Saw him in his underwear. And you do not want to be that person. That's a little more than the employer bargained for. Interview did not go well after that point. So always wear your pants, basically, is my advice for you on that particular subject. So you can read through some of the different styles. And some of the interview questions you might can expect or hear in the bottom section, common interview questions like tell me about yourself. In this particular question, employers are looking for you to give them an idea of who you are and what you can bring to their organization. For example, you don't want to say, well, my name is John Doe, and I'm very nice and friendly. That doesn't tell the employer a whole lot. Talk is cheap, and we can say a lot of different things about ourselves, but we need to give some solid examples and tell them what it is, maybe our background. Go ahead and refer to the job description and bring out some of those characteristics and qualifications and skills that they are needing, and mention those in the Tell Me About Yourself question. This is usually about a minute long, so it's not a long monologue, but it is, a little bit of information about you. And as you'll see at the top of this page, the STAR method. You want to make sure you use examples in all of your answers. Don't make the employer dig for information. If they ask you what are your strengths, mention your strengths, but then tell them how you use those strengths. Give them an example of how you've used those strengths in the past. As well as if they ask you about a difficult situation that you've had to handle, give them the details. Let them know how you handled that situation and how it played out to the benefit of yourself and others. So these are some common questions that you will need to familiarize yourself with. These are some questions you might be expected to answer in a mock interview setting. You don't want to memorize your answers, but you don't want to be caught off guard. So make sure that you have a good idea of what you would say if asked these questions. The next page is a list of, you have more questions that you might be asked. You also have questions that you could ask the interviewer. And it's always okay to ask the interviewer questions at the end when they ask you, do you have any questions? You want to make sure you always have some questions. Okay, interview attire. This particular page gives you some guidelines for what to wear during the interview. And we will go over more details, some particular items of clothing that may or may not be okay. And for this particular slide, though, look here with me at the man's suit. In this picture, you'll see that his bottom button of his coat is buttoned, And that's really a no-no. We're making that correction in our next career guide. But for now, this particular picture, everything else is okay, but typically that would not be buttoned on a male. So you'll see some of the dress code here. Just highlight this for you. And you want to make sure if you're a male male or female, iron your clothes. Make sure they are presentable, neat and clean. Make sure that your belt and your shoes match, that your shoes are polished, and your socks coordinate with your suit. Jewelry should only be worn in moderation. That's for females and for males. Carry a briefcase or portfolio. Trim your facial hair. Make sure you have a fresh haircut. And sometimes your dress can vary depending on your major. Like someone in a more artistic field may not wear the exact same thing that someone would in a very conservative corporate America type interview. So you have to keep that in mind. But the main key is, no matter what your field, you don't want anything you're wearing to be a distraction. You want the employer to get the best feel of who you are, and as far as from the interview itself, and not being hyper-focused on your clothing because it's distracting. For women, we have here, you can wear a two-piece suit or you can wear a skirt. If you wear a skirt, please make sure that it's knee-length and not too short. You want to avoid ill-fitting clothes and skirts that are too tight, that are hard to walk around in, or you're constantly pulling and tugging at because they are tight or they're crawling up your thigh. That's not a good look for an interview. Wear classic simple heels. Make sure the heel is not too high because you don't want to fall down or be uncomfortable. And you may even have to go on a tour. And so if you have to tour a facility and you're wearing very uncomfortable shoes, that can make for a pretty bad day. Also, be careful with your hair. Like you will see, you don't want, if you're a female, you don't want your hair to be down in your eyes so the interviewer can't get a good look at who you are. So make sure you have your hair pushed back, or maybe even pulled back in a ponytail or a bun or something like that if you feel it might be a distraction, or if you feel like you're constantly going to be pulling at your hair. Also, if you're going to wear a skirt, you need to wear pantyhose, typically not in a very dramatic color. You would want to go with nude or something like that. And again, if you have jewelry, make sure it's not costume jewelry. If you wear earrings, make sure they're very small, just no distraction. For guys and for ladies, you can make sure that you chew gum or something before the interview. Have a mint to make sure your breath is fresh, but don't take that into the interview with you. Don't chew gum during your interview or have the mint in your mouth during your interview or anything like that. Basically, take a shower, use soap and water and deodorant, and you're good to go. Stay away from heavy colognes or perfumes that might be off-putting to the employer. Maybe it's they have an allergy and they don't like to be around that particular scent or fragrance. It could cause their eyes to swell, and no one wants to be the person causing a possible future employer's eyes to swell, or them to sneeze, or to be constantly scratching their nose or rubbing their eyes because they can't stand the allergen in that particular fragrance. You can also, females, carry a portfolio or a briefcase. If you carry a handbag, make sure that it is very small, that it's a good quality, that it's black or tan, and it's not wild, elaborate pattern or huge. And when in doubt, dress conservatively for your interview. I'm going to show you this particular PowerPoint presentation, what's hot and what's not, interview attire. And we're going to go through a few of these slides together. So for example, this is not okay for an interview. This is your typical formal party dress. Maybe you're going to a formal event of some kind. It's not something appropriate for an interview. We have Happy, Harvey, Harriet, and Henry here, and they are a little too casual for most interviews. Now, just depending on your field, let's say you want to apply to a car dealership to wash cars during the summer. Then you could wear a polo shirt and some nice khaki pants to apply for that particular position. But when we're talking professional positions, this attire is not okay. It may be what you wear to work every day, and that's okay, but it's not something you're going to wear for an interview. We have cool Chuck. He's wearing his blue jeans, which is typically a no-no to wear blue jeans. And he's wearing his button-up shirt, which is fine, but it's not tucked in. He is not wearing a tie. And so, again, he's not a good example of a typical professional interview. Now, these guys are ready. We have Roger, Rachel, Rockette, Rhonda, and Ramon. And they are all ready for an interview. These are all examples of outfits that could be worn to an interview, that you could feel confident in, hopefully, feel professional, and feel ready to go. Now, I wouldn't suggest you take a red portfolio. Maybe black or brown would be a better selection, but just the dress that they have is fine. Shoes that kill. Stay away from these shoes. We've had a number of students to wear shoes like this in our office for mock interviews. A couple who have actually fallen or tripped or stumbled over the carpet. Maybe the heel got hung in the carpet or something like that. And that's not good. You don't want to do that. So stay away from shoes that look like this. Your interview is not a modeling contest. It's not who's the most stylish. That's not what they're looking for during the interview process. Now, she looks neat. She's wearing khaki pants and a button-up shirt, but again, this is not a professional look. This is more of a business casual look. This is not something you would wear to an interview. Professional Paul, he's looking pretty good. He's got on his suit, his tie. He is, his hair is a little bit longer, but he has it styled and pushed back. It's not all over his head and crazy. She's a little too styling. Now maybe you're going into fashion merchandising, you're going into a field that allows for more creativity. You possibly could get away with an outfit like this. But you see she has on the dark hose, she has on a hat, which you typically would not wear to an interview. And I know the picture on your screen may look a little pixelated, but hopefully you can get the idea. That again, you're not going for, you can have style in your outfit and not look out of date and old-fashioned, but in the same instance, you don't want to look like you are trying to, audition for the runway. Casual Kyle is a little too casual. He has on a coat, he has on khaki pants, but these are more like khaki pants and not slacks. Also, he has a sweater on underneath, and this might be okay for daily office attire, but not for an interview. All right. This one here, button poppin', muffin toppin' mayhem. This is not a look you want to go for. Now, even though most of you would not wear jeans to an interview, I do see people sometimes wearing slacks that are too tight, and you get this appearance. Sometimes just buying a pair of pants in a size bigger will help you to look slimmer and more professional and more attractive. You definitely don't want your buttons popping open. And I know this is an extreme example of a tight shirt, but sometimes, the shirt might just be a little too tight and you have a gap here and someone's able to see inside of your shirt. That's not a good look. If you think that's going to happen to you, wear at least an undershirt so that if it does happen, someone only sees your shirt underneath and not your skin or your bra or something like that. Okay, this is Little Black Dress Lucy. We have people that come in sometimes for mock interviews wearing dresses like this. And while it's cute and looks nice and neat, it's not interview appropriate. Maybe if she added a jacket, a button-up jacket or something over this, it could look more like a two-piece suit and would be okay. But just a little black dress or a sundress or something you might wear, to church or an event like that is not what you're going to wear to an interview. It's a different type of attire. Rockstar Rakita. And you can probably all see what's wrong with this picture. She's wearing her knee boots, she's wearing jeans, she has a large handbag, she has her sunglasses on. I don't think this one requires too much explanation. Dummy Dana, the mannequin, you see, that's why I call it Dummy Dana. Not trying to call anybody names here, but I think at this point in the slide you can see why that's not okay. This is an example of a suit that has sleeves versus no sleeves, just to give you an idea. The sleeves give more professional lines, more professional look. So you can wear something that does not have sleeves, but as you can see the comparison here, this looks much better. So if you're able to wear a suit coat with sleeves, it's better than the suit coat without sleeves. Okay, Chesty Betsy. We have a huge problem with students who are showing way too much cleavage in the interview. And I hate that I even have to go here, but we do need to mention it. It's not okay to show your chest or your cleavage in any way, form, or fashion in an interview. People don't want to see that. And I was asked one time, well, what if someone gets the job because they showed a little skin? And my reply was, that person needs to be prepared for what else is expected of them in that job if they're only hired because of how much skin they showed in the interview. So from this example, you can see that this is supposed to be funny. That goes back to the student that had asked me that particular question that time. This is an extreme example, but I do this on purpose so that you remember this, and this is ingrained in your brain, that this is a no-no. You do not want to be Chesty Betsy. Even if your chest is not as big as Betsy's, you still don't want to be that person showing skin. There have been people that have actually lost out on job interviews, straight out, did not get the job because the employer told us personally that that particular individual wore a low-cut shirt wore a low-cut blouse to the interview, and they even gave her a second chance and said, hey, come back later for a second interview, I want to talk to you a little bit more, and the person showed up again in a different low-cut top. So you want to make sure that you're not doing that. One piece of information to keep in mind is that we actually have a clothes closet here at UNA in the career planning office, and you can come by and check out suits, and that's free of charge. We just get your information, find out your phone number, your email, things like that, and you can actually check out a suit if you don't have one. We don't have a huge variety, but we do have some variety, so if you're having a hard time, check out our clothes closet. You can also find some good deals and good suits at places like the Salvation Army. We've had students to pick up some nice suit coats there for $2, and there's nothing wrong with them. So that's an okay solution as well. We have pinstripes Polly here, and again, this picture's a little pixelated, but you get the idea. She looks nice, professional, ready to go. Okay, the UGG boots. I've actually interviewed a student that wore a dress similar to this and had on her UGG boots. And that's not okay. You do not want to wear boots with your skirt or your skirt for your interview at any time, any kind of boot, especially the UGG boots. That's just not a professional look. Okay, we see what's wrong with her. This is not professional. This is not something you'd wear in an interview. She has multicolored hair, and you can pick out the rest. But also tattoos. If you have tattoos, cover them up during your interview process. If you don't have tattoos and you want one, spend a lot of time thinking about it and decide, are you able to cover it up? Is there a place you could put it so that if you do have a job interview, you can conceal that tattoo and it not be a problem? So keep that in mind as you're planning to get a tattoo, is being able to cover it up easily. And this is just supposed to be a funny, it says it was a mistake for Eric to wear a t-shirt to his job interview, and it was a bigger mistake to wear that particular t-shirt that says bite me, and he's being interviewed by a wolf. So, t-shirts are not okay. You don't ever want to wear a t-shirt to a job interview. GQ Jerry is a little too stylish here. His suit's a little shiny. Great for the runway. It's a nice look for him, but not something you're going to wear to a professional job interview with the flower here and the hat. And like I said, the suit has a shine or sheen to it. Not necessary. Overdressed Richard. You may laugh, but I've had someone show up for an interview in a tux before. So, needless to say, not a good look. Don't wear a tux to your interview. And, most of you might be nervous about interviewing, and that's okay to be a little bit nervous. Most people are to some degree. But try to take a deep breath, prepare, practice with someone else, practice with our office. Yes, practice with our office. That'd be a good place to start. Practice in front of the mirror until you feel more confident. And that's the end of my presentation for today. I would invite you to come by our office if you have questions on interviewing and how we can help you with that process. And I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.